Hi everyone, this is JJUNA OPPA. Today I'm going to explain the Korean number system. Basically, Korean numbers are more difficult than English numbers because there are two different systems, the Sino-Korean numbers and the native Korean numbers. First, let's take a look at the Sino-Korean number system. There are two words for zero in Sino-Korean, 영 and 공. I'll explain the difference between the two in a moment. Here are the basic Sino-Korean numbers. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 100, 100, 1000, 1000, 10,000, 만. After that, there are also 억, that means 100 million, and 조 means 1 trillion. There are many larger units beyond this, but knowing 억 and 조 is enough. I didn't explain numbers beyond 10, because you can simply combine numbers to make larger ones. For example, 11, 11, 12, 12, 53, 53, 54, 54, 111, 111, 333, 333, 1004, 1004, 8285, 8285, 12,345, 12,345. There's nothing tricky about it. It's just combinations. So, when do we use Sino-Korean numbers? They are used for phone numbers, bus numbers, weight and body weight, addresses, years, months, days, minutes and seconds, prices. That might sound like a lot to memorize, but in conclusion, you use them in most situations. Just remember that for minutes and seconds, you use Sino-Korean numbers. Now, as I said earlier, there are two words for zero, 공 and 영. 공 is used for phone numbers, addresses, and license plate numbers, and 영 is used in mathematics, science, and temperature, more academic context. Let's go through some examples. Phone numbers in Korea typically start with 010. So this is read as 010, 1234, 5678. This is a bus number and it's read as 370번 or 370번. These are celebrity heights. These are read as 162, 158, 151.8, and the decimal point is read as 점. Here's an elevator. This is easy. 1층, 2층, 3층, F층, 5층, 6층, 7층, 8층. You might wonder where is the fourth floor, 4층. That's because in Korean culture, the number 4 is associated with death. Not all elevators are like this, but some are. This is a hotel room number. It's read as 401호. This is the price of a Nintendo Switch. It's read as 23만 7,820원. This is a date, June 25, 1950, the start of the Korean War. It's read as 1950년 6월 25일. There's an important thing here. June is pronounced 6월, not 6월. And October is pronounced 10월, not 10월. These 2 months are exceptions, so be sure to memorize them. This is the time. As I mentioned earlier, minutes and seconds are read using Sino-Korean numbers. For hour, we'll skip it for now. For example, this is read as 55분 15초. This is a temperature. Since it's in a scientific context, use 영. 0 degrees is read as 영도. Now that we've looked at Sino-Korean numbers, let's move on to native Korean numbers. Here are the basic native Korean numbers. one, 하나, two, 둘, three, 셋, four, 넷, five, 다섯, six, 여섯, seven, 일곱, eight, 여덟, nine, 아홉, ten, 열, 20, 스물, 30, 서른, 40, 마흔, 50, 쉰, 60, 예순, 70, 일흔, 80, 여든, 90, 아흔, 100, 백. As I mentioned earlier, Sino-Korean numbers are used in most situations. So even native Koreans sometimes get confused with native Korean numbers above 50 because we rarely use it above 50. Anyway, when do we use native Korean numbers? There are three main cases. Counting quantities less than 100. Counting with unit nouns, counters. Telling time but hours only. Here, you can see someone counting from 1 to 10 on their fingers. When counting small numbers like this, we use native numbers. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열. Next, Korean has counters, which are specific words used when counting different types of things. 이포, 명. More formal for people, 분. Books, 권. Animals, 마리. Bottles, 병. Cups and mugs, 잔. Here is something very important. When using counters, 5 native Korean numbers are abbreviated. 1, 한. 2, 두. 3, 세. 4, 네. 20, 스무. One person, you say 한 명. Two people in an honorific form, 두 분. 3 books, you say 세 권. For animals, you say 네 마리. For 5 cups of coffee, you say 다섯 잔. And if there are 20 cups, you say 스무 잔, not 스물 잔, because it's abbreviated. Next, time. As I said before, native Korean numbers are used for hours, while Sino-Korean numbers are used for minutes and seconds. Let's read some clocks. It's 1. You read it as 1시. It's 8 o'clock. You read it as 8시. Not too hard, right? Just remember that for hours, you use native Korean. For minutes and seconds, you use Sino-Korean. That's it for today's lesson, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Now let's move on to some practice questions. (010) 3456 7890 3마리 10시 808번 or 808번 601호 10개 0도 2잔 3시 30분 45초 25,000원